Your face is frighteningly massive. It's fucking crazy, bloke.
And that's the intro. Welcome to HotFix. We're going to continue the conversation we were having like half a minute ago. So there's a camera on that headset, right, that you can press, and so you can see through it into the real world. So you leave the Matrix and you can see what's in front of you if you press the camera thing.
But you say see into the real world. I'm seeing into the real world now. I'm in a nebula of space with 3 70-foot monitors, which are precisely wrapped around me, 297 degrees. So if I look behind,
you can see into the fake world. You can see into the fake world.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I've got a button here I can press, but I can't find it, and I could see into the fake world. But why would I want to see into the fake world when what I've got around me is clearly real?
This is where it gets like ultra meta. So you've got your 297 degrees of monitors, right? You've got your face plate. You've got your camera on the faceplate that you press it. Is it where Geordie's visor goes around? Tell me it is. It's on like your temple. Tell me it's on the temple. So
it's called a HMD. I'll have you know. It's a head-mounted display. I can't drink with it on though. Look,
just poke it.
I have to go.
But you could poke the camera on the HMD
and the camera's there
and view the monitor that is currently showing what you're looking at in your head.
Yeah, no, I can do that anyway. No, bloke, because I'm looking at the monitors now. I can turn on.
But you could look at the monitor. You could look at the monitor, which is showing you the monitors that are on the monitors in your eyes.
Yeah, well, no, I'm in Tron Vision. I'm in Tron Vision now. Yeah, I'm in Tron Vision. But like Tron is like, well, we don't give a shit about that. Right, so now we're back normal. Well, I say normal. I just say I look down and there's a massive like nebula block, and there's like a massive star over there or something. And honestly,
Master Yi cosplay on your head.
So we're back to normal. You're over there in like a. Your head is like 50 foot big. It's in time and space. It is fucking amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to HotFix.
So, one of the big topics for HotFix, the laser-focused video game discussion podcast. We had a bit of a break. We've been doing a little bit of reworking. It's still in progress, but we couldn't leave you without HotFix for so long, because obviously you'd cease to have a reason to live. And, well, we couldn't take that away from you. So we're back. We're back in the meantime. First topic on the table, because we need to talk about this, because it's El Qualité, is VR. Now, you can probably tell that Mr. Stylosa over there is quite
like
the
a
fan.
Shooting star or something. Yeah. But you know what?
Quite the fan of VR.
He's quite the fan. All I do is sit with VR on. Like, he's becoming a running joke. Everybody I know, it's like, will you shut up? Will you stop talking about VR? I invited everybody to come over. I'm like, you've got to come over and see this. It's just next level.
I'm just going to quickly get your Twitter account up so I can show your profile picture for those who ain't seen it.
I apologise about if the microphone's a little bit loud, guys. But I don't think it... Well, I get a bit excited. What can I say?
Gets excited when he's in the virtual
There's actually
world.
a microphone on the headset as well, but it's not that good.
Okay.
Picks up a lot of sound.
Ladies and gentlemen, check this out. Look at that. The lad likes a bit of VR. It looks so dodgy.
What are you talking about? That's not dodgy. Actually, the person who took a picture of that, I didn't know they were in the room. Like, I'm looking around like, what the hell?
It's like amazement.
And they're taking pictures of me, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
So you are a connoisseur of VR, sir. You have been to the Wonderland, the dream world, the alternate reality that it provides. Now that you've got your crazy Master Yi cosplay, I'm assuming. I'm pretending like I don't know all of this already, but I do. It is pretty much the best thing since gluten-free sliced bread.
Which is actually just bullshit. So basically, Mr. Kirioth, right? You are a great example of this. For me now, I'm an addict, and I've had this on my face for so long, I don't even know, what's going on anymore. When I first got it, I streamed. The day I got it, I messed around, put it together, was like, all right, okay, it seems to be working. Initial impressions were like, Jesus Christ, this is mental. Then I started to stream it, and I started to play some of the games that are available for it, and use some of the apps and whatnot. And I'm just like, this is mental. But for me now, it's becoming normal. It's like, pretentious as this sounds, I know I'm in like a privileged position to have this on my head, right? I'm not like some sort of check me out, I'm amazing kind of thing. I honestly, I'm doing this with my hand. I can see it on Skype's preview. I honestly believe that this is the future. And when you came around and slapped it on your head, what did you think straight away? Because I mean, at that point, when I set it up myself, I just had to plug it in myself and put it on my head, and and I'm pissing around. But for you, it's like I already had a plan ready. This thing I was showing everybody else, where it's like, where I hold the controllers and just turn them on and all that shit.
Yeah.
It's like I'm the demo man.
Yeah.
But yeah, what the hell?
So yeah, I'm sort of taking the piss a little bit here because I do know exactly what it's like. Because as you say, I came round to have a blast on it, and it's like the first time you play a computer game where you're like, oh my god, am I doing this? Is this real? Am I controlling this? This is great. It's like that, but it's like times 1,000. Because instead of it just being like on the screen is fine, on the screen's great. When it's everything you see. Like when you got the headset on, and like was it Job Simulator I tried first? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably. It was that or one of the. You did quite a lot of the demos.
Yeah,
so.
it was. I think first we sort of messed around with the backgrounds and did the movement demo and stuff, like for walking about the place. But then it was the real amazing thing was when it was when you were actually in a game. Like in Job Simulator is the perfect example because it's. It's first person, you've got the two controllers in your hands, they're controlling hands in the game. That was like... Job Simulator is obviously, it's like a daft game. It's a jokey game where you pretend to do a job, but the job is like print pictures of your family and show them to people.
It's not very long. Yeah,
it's not, yeah,
there's a couple of jobs and they last about 25 minutes, I reckon.
Yeah. But even though it was just like a piss-takey, jokey game, the fact that you are in it... And you are literally in it. It's not like you're looking at it on a screen. You're not you're not just sitting there. Like this is why the Oculus doesn't seem very appealing to me, especially having tried the Vive now. You're standing there in the cubicle with your hands, picking stuff up with your body, moving around. You can move your head around. You can look under the desk by tilting your head down and sort of looking up like that. It is unbelievable. It is crazy. Camera, do you want to focus on me now? What the There we go.
It's the most immersive piece of technology I've ever used, and one of the things I've noted from when people it's okay with you. I mean, you picked it up instantly, which you should do. You use a computer all the time.
Yeah.
Same for me, right? But it's not really about that. The thing what you pick up quick is how to use the controllers. If you're used to using a controller like a games console controller or whatever, you get used to it. But I had like a 75-year-old man into this thing who doesn't use computers. Put the thing on, and within a few minutes just knew how to use it straight away, and was playing the did you play the archery thing in the lab?
Yeah.
Playing that, and I'm just like, I even got my mother on this thing. Christ, she can't even use a phone, right? She gets in it, amazing straight away. I think that's the biggest thing for it, because if you look at our keyboards and you look at our mice, and you look at games controllers, like Xbox controllers or whatever, they're pretty frightening, to older people. Or people who are just not that way inclined, who don't use computers all the time or don't game. This thing and the controllers are just, how to use it because that's how your body works. I mean, my thing with the controllers, this is what I did to Kiri. So, put the headset on him, and he's standing. I think you were in like the Elusive Man or fucking something, like from like Mass Effect, ladies and gentlemen, where you're like in space. I mean, now I'm sitting in a purple, blue, green nebula, which just looks fucking amazing. But I put Kiri into that, and then I turn the controllers on. And I just hang them in space. Now, this is the amazing thing about the Vive compared to the Rift, is it's got the motion sensors and it's the room scales. So and I don't know how it does this, and I'll never understand this, but the headset, through its optics, accurately relay the position of the controllers in space. Because when you've got this headset on, everything feels like you can perceive where it is. Yeah. And you reach out, don't you, Mr. Kirioth, and you grab it. And you don't miss. You absolutely grab it, and then you grab the other one, and it's like, let's go. That's mental.
It's like the best introduction that you could have to something like that, because straight away, it's impressive instantly. All you're doing is picking up the controller. But when you've got the headset on, when you're standing in this room, and it's like it's already a bit crazy because you're standing in a room that doesn't exist. Like it's just there, you can see it, but it's not real. When the controller is hovering in front of you, and literally, like, there was no fumbling, was there? I just reached down and just took it.
No, straight away,
like,
everybody's the same.
Yeah, the depth perception is absolutely dead on. It's completely accurate. It's like, I was expecting when I reached out to kind of miss it or fumble about with it or something, even though you can't see your hand. it's so precise that it's just like, oh yeah, I've grabbed that. Easy, no problem. Not it's just straight away. And the thing is, I think that's one of the things that makes it so amazing. It's instinctual, ain't it? Because it's human movements. Because let's be honest, like a keyboard and mouse, you can get proficient with a keyboard and mouse by using them a lot. Same with a controller. Right now, I've been using this controller for Dark Souls. I've just knocked half the shit on my desk off. If you can use, I've been using this controller for Dark Souls. I can control stuff with this controller really easily. Like, it's fine. It's not a problem. I'm not quite as good as with a keyboard and mouse, but I can get by. You know, I'm competent enough. If I give this controller to, for instance, my wife, she don't play computer games. The first thing she does in any game, when she tries to adjust the camera, is looks at the floor, or looks at the ceiling, or spins around in a circle.
Yeah. You don't know this. It's not. It's that is like you have to train that reaction, don't you?
Yeah,
We know as gamers or whatever for years and years. You get used to that. But they don't have it, and to them that is such a it's just a barrier of entry, and they don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't understand. It's like, Christ. I mean, I know people who are my age and they don't play games. They don't play computers, and they've said to me before, I have no idea how you play. Like, they watched me play Overwatch, and they were like, I don't. How are you doing this? Like, this is just like they can't comprehend it yet. If I put you in hover junkers and you've got a gun and there's a piece of cover, you hide behind it. I mean, the best game I have played so far is called Budget Cuts. Now, it's VR Metal Gear Solid. That's the only way I can describe this. You infiltrate a building, and there are robots, and you can kill them with various weapons that you find, like throwing knives and crossbows and all kinds of stuff. It'd be really funky if you could choke the robots, because you could totally do that with both controllers around the neck, because you know where they are in real space, and like snap the necks. I'm sure that stuff will come. But it's just it's a completely new way of interacting with technology, and it's ridiculously immersive. There is nothing that can be any more immersive than this, because you are, like, right now, my senses are telling me that I'm floating in space. Now, if I was suffering with, like, major vertigo or something, this would be really bad for me, because I'm floating in space, and I can see really far down, and it's an abyss, and I don't want to go into the abyss. You know, there's like a black hole and everything. That would be bad, right? But you've got the touch as well with the controllers, so you've got your sense of touch, your sense of vision and perception, and hearing as well. What you don't have is smell. That's the only thing you don't have. Now, it's kind of weird. Like, when you put the headset on, when somebody talks to you, you probably noticed this when I was talking to you when you had the headset on. It's like a ghostly voice.
It's like, intrusive. It's strange because it's like the person that you're speaking to isn't present in your world. Like, they're not there. It's like a disembodied voice. I know that in games, like, you might have a narrator or something talking, but the sheer action of putting the headset on and being surrounded completely by the world that you've been put into means that it's different. Like, the only way to describe it is it's different. It feels like it's disembodied. When you're playing a game and you get like an instruction that's like, oh, to go into cover, press this button. It's like you're looking on a monitor. You can see everything around it. So it's like it's not isolated. It's like, oh, this is part of the game. Whereas when you've got the headset on and like someone talks, it's like, it's not,
this video will be out on the channel this week, but I go into a room and like there's a robot, and the first thing I do is dive on the floor, because I know, cover, because the job simulator thing teaches you this. You're aware of things in front of you. You think there's a table, you think there's a wall, and it's like you duck down by the wall, or in this game you can hug the wall and like pop your head around the corner like that, just take a quick look and jump back. It's dead good. It's like, wow, this is dead good. I could just talk all day about VR. It's so like, I mean, before I got it, I didn't think it'd be as good as it is. I was like, okay, this is going to be. I'm going to be able to tell I've got something on my head. Yeah, I can tell I've got this massive headset on my head. Don't get me wrong. Does it feel natural? Not really, because it's a big headset on my head, and I the way you see into it, it's almost like you're wearing a heavy pair of goggles.
Yeah,
you know, if you go back to your days at school, ladies and gentlemen, do a science experiment and they put them big goggles on your face, it feels like that. But what happens is, and this is a very like unique kind of thing with it, is you forget that it's on your head, you forget about everything, and it just becomes not real, because that's a bit of a push, but it becomes, I mean, you know it's not real, but it tricks your brain into thinking that there are objects there in space, and you are in environments that are much bigger than they actually are. And it's very, I'm not scared by games. Yeah, I played Budget Cuts, and I shit myself. A robot come around the corner, and I turned around, and it was like, I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Because it was right on top of me, and I'm like diving away, and I'm trying to throw knives at it and all kinds of stuff, and it's. I mean, people are going to die in this, bro. They will die of a heart attack. Horror games will just kill them.
I wouldn't even.
You strap it on
honestly,
your head, you would just die. I'm not joking.
I wouldn't even try it. You know what I'm like with horror games.
I'll do it, but
it'll kill me. I'll have a heart attack. I'll just capitulate hardcore. I'll just be dead. It'll be like, well, he died with a 5 on his head. He died as he lived, addicted to VR. There's other things as well. Like, I've been trying to explain this to people. Right? I've tried to explain this to a few people. One of the things that really impressed me, like you mentioned touch earlier, one of the things that really impressed me was that archery game, right? Now, it's very easy, I think, for people to assume you're holding controllers. It's like you don't really forget that you're holding controllers because every game has got the same controls to it. Like you've got the little triggers, you've got the little touchpad, you've got the buttons and stuff. And so you could be forgiven thinking, well, you say touch, but you're just holding that.
Yeah,
the controllers
very natural, does it?
Yeah.
Like, what's this thing?
But they fit in your hand really nicely. They're not too heavy. They're a nice material as well. You kind of forget that you're holding them. They just sort of become part of the way you interact with stuff. And I think part of that is because you're just, because you're surrounded, you're in this world. It doesn't feel odd to interact with it in a different way because that's just how you started out. But playing that archery game, the thing that really blew me away about this is and it really stressed the kind of virtual reality bit of the whole thing. Because I think people are focusing on the virtual at the moment because they haven't had a chance to try it. They're focusing on the virtual, not on the reality aspect. When I was playing that archery game, you've got this bow,
just stop
right?
you there? I think the problem is people see the videos and people see the screenshots and they see that double kind of camera lens effect, and that does not represent it at all. The biggest issue with this is you cannot explain to somebody what it's like unless you stick the thing on the head and go, there you go. I mean, you would have seen the videos in the stream I did before. You stuck it on your head and you probably were like, well, it must be pretty good because he's dancing around like an idiot. But you stick it on your head and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, what is going on here?
That's exactly it. I was like, that looks pretty cool. That should be fun when I have a go on that. That looks pretty good. It didn't prepare me at all for what it was actually like.
No.
But the thing that was so impressive to me was when I was playing that archery game. So basically, you like playing kind of castle defense. There's a gate, and there's these little guys, the little test guys that you see on like paperwork in port and stuff.
From the pocket universes. Aperture Labs.
And they're running and they're attacking the gate, and you've got to fire arrows at them and shoot them and kill them. When you pull the bow back, and this was like this messed with my head like really badly. The controllers have got force feedback. So, they move. They've got little things in them, like little vibrators and whatever you want to call them. It's like what is it, gyroscope or something?
As well. Yeah,
it's really good. So I'm holding the bow right, and I've tilted it sideways because I found that easier to aim. And I still miss most of the stuff, but I found it easier to aim with it sideways. When you pull the thing back, so say you've got a controller in this hand, right? Controller in this hand, then you've got the controller in this hand. This hand's got the bow. This hand has got the arrow. You notch the arrow into the string.
This looks really threatening, like on a 70-foot screen. Like you're just in space. Like fucking hell, I'm like, what the hell? I just minimize to get rid of him.
So you got the bow. You got the controller's got one bow, and then the controller's got the arrow. You slot the arrow into the string. You pull the string back. It sounds like okay, fine, no problem. It sounds like what you'd sit there and do is just go like bang, 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 bang over and over again. The force feedback on those things is so well done. Honestly, it's going to sound mental. As you pull the bow back, it feels like it gains weight on the string. It feels like there's tension on the string. The bow ain't real. Like, the bow don't exist, obviously. It's in the VR. It's not real. But the way the controllers interact with the props that are in the world, and the way they interact with you, I found myself, as I pulled the bow further back, just unconsciously, and not being able to stop it, tensing my arm. Like, I could feel my arms like tensing up and trying to draw back with more strength. Like I was imposing a limitation on myself, which meant that I wasn't pulling it as far back as I could because it felt like the bow was heavy and that the string was taut. That to me, I was like, I really liked it before I played that game, but that to me, like that hammered it home. That hammered the reality bit because it's like my brain's being tricked there into thinking that I cannot pull that bow any further back. It is taut. You cannot do it because you are not strong enough. It don't exist. It's not real. The bow ain't real. But my arms are locking up, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy to me. That is crazy. It's amazing, but it's like, and that's the thing that I think like people need to get their head around. Like, and you can't really do it just watching videos. It is something that sadly, the best way to sell this thing is to get people into it. But it's like, how do
that's
you do
the problem I've got. Yeah, like I want to keep making videos on this because I think it's absolutely revolutionary. It's not just about gaming. This is what people have got to realize, that the applications are just, what will make this take off is when, if it can make companies money, and it can make companies money, because there's actually a very basic version of this in the VR lab which Valve give you. Shows you a human skeleton, and you can look through cross sections of it in real time and move it around and resize it and do all of that. I read a study from, it was a brain surgeon, and they said one of the problems is when they go in to do tumor removal on people with brain cancer, is they know where it is because they've seen a 3D model of it, but they still have to dig around and find the tumor. So when they go into your brain, they're pissing around, moving bits all over the place. If they had access to a 3D model in VR, they could practice the surgery on the model, and then they've got experience of navigating that brain. So when they do come to do the operation, the damage will be vastly reduced, and that is this is where VR is going. It's like the lab, the Aperture robot repair lab, where it explodes out. Yeah, I mean, everybody's probably seen that now because that's been around for a little bit.
That was my one moment where it properly freaked me out because when the door opens and the robot walks out,
and he comes towards you.
I was stood right at the edge of the room, right in the middle of the door.
And it's really big as well. It's like, whoa.
It's really big, and the Valve stuff is really well done. Like, it looks a lot better than the other demos. It looks like It looks the closest to real of anything in there.
You'll notice Kiri's calling stuff demos, which is kind of true. I mean, early adoption there's not like a killer app or a killer game or whatever for this stuff. It's just, here's a thing which does this thing, and it, like the archery thing, all that's designed for is to show you basically the force feedback. It's like, oh god, these controllers work great. There's a little game with a drone where you grab it, and that just shows you how you're like really spatially aware. Job Simulator shows you how well the physics can work in it, and also how you sort of feel like when stuff's in front of you. But anyway, I'll let you carry on.
But yeah, that was like when the guy walks towards you, because because it's so well done and because it's so well modelled and so well rendered, it's like it looks the closest to real that anything in that does. And so when he started to walk through me, I literally panicked. I was like, oh my god, what the hell? I was trying to get out of the way, and it's that is the thing.
What about Audio Shield when the music hits you?
Audio Shield was dead good. I could have easily just played that for hours on end. That was really good. And
you'd get fit as well.
I found myself flinching as well with Audio Shield. Like when you miss something,
hit you.
When you miss it with a shield, or you get the wrong shield up for the, like, if you put the blue shield up for a red orb, which I did quite a few times, it feels like it's going to smack you on, and you're like, oh god, and it makes you miss the next one because you're having a genuine physical reaction to it, which is kind of like, I guess that's the biggest praise you can give it. It will give you like a genuine physical reaction.
There has been no time I've played a game apart. No, there has been some instances where I've played games in the past. Things like, even when I was playing Dark Souls 3 earlier today, or when I played like MMOs in the past, any kind of like major achievement, and it's like, wow, we've just taken down a raid boss or something. It's like, whoa, you feel great. That's really the only time you feel that level of like, wow, it's awesome. Or like in Overwatch, if you just win just at the very end, it's like, great, awesome. This is like that all the time. You put this on and it's just like crap. I mean, I was saying to a couple of people, what we need is like a multiplayer sword game. I mean, fuck me, lightsabers, bloke. Why can't it can be multiplayer? You just need a VR. You just need a Vive or a VR headset. Load it into Steam. I don't know, fucking The Force Awakens, Kylo Cabbage Ren against fucking, just have anybody against Vader. It doesn't even make sense, but let's do it. You don't like him anyway, he's a shit grandson. Fucking Vader just murders him. But imagine that shit. Like, imagine that. Like, because it can track accurately, right? Actually, that's another thing as well. Just talking about the technology of the two different headsets. Now, I've not used the Oculus Rift, but the Oculus Rift will have room scale VR by the end of the year, and also controllers. They've got a major problem with supply. Same with HTC as well, really. So it's going to be very difficult to get stuff out to people. So if you don't have the headsets like now, that's both of them, then you're probably going to be waiting quite a long time to get headsets, which is unfortunate because the more people with access, the better it'll be. And just to give you an idea of like who's actually got this thing, if you look at Hover Junkers, which is well, essentially the top-rated game on Steam for VR. It had 5 players concurrent, and a maximum of 34 the other day. That's
Crazy.
worldwide. It's because it's so limited. But
Yeah.
with Oculus, it's got a different style of motion tracking. With it uses off-the-shelf technology to do it. It's just using standard IR cameras, I think. So you've got one in front of you, and you're like, I have another one, and it'll work all right. Some devs were saying they think it's going to cause problems with certain types of movement and stuff. Like their room scale VR will be more if you have the things pointing at you, not sort of in the corner like this is. Now that's
It'll be
because the
interesting
Vive,
to see like what that is like in comparison, because the thing is, the Vive is set for me. Like the Vive will have set the benchmark. It needs to be as good as the Vive to compete, and the Vive does it incredibly well. So if they release it and it's like it's dodgy, or it doesn't work as well, or the depth perception isn't quite the same, or like the actual range of movement is not as good. I mean, if you sit someone down and go, you can either have like, I don't even know, what is it? It's not 360. Yeah, it's 360 degrees, isn't it? You can either have 360 degree VR, where you can look up, down, left, right, behind you. You can do like a backflip, and you'll do a backflip in virtual space. Or you can have virtual reality in front of you, not behind you. You can't turn around. You've got to be facing this way, or like roughly facing this way. You're gonna want the full wrap
yeah, well,
around.
that'll be for the movement.
It depends on how
tracking.
well they do. Yeah.
The head movement would still be 360 and whatever.
Yeah.
But this again, well, I mean, just to wrap up with the HTC tracking technology, it uses lasers. You know those lighthouse boxes? They fire lasers into the room, and they're bouncing all over the room now. So, and these are IR receivers, so it's receiving the positional information. But it's all that's why you got those little dimples on the controls as well. That's how it can accurately map. They invented that effectively. Whereas Oculus hasn't. They've just used off-the-shelf technology, and it's like, well, you know how impressive the tracking is on this Vive. It is absolutely insanely accurate. It's like millimeter accurate, ladies and gentlemen. You can't. It's probably. I mean, it might even be under a millimeter. It's so accurate. You can put the controllers inside each other. They've got like a hole. And you can just slot them through.
Yeah,
it's like,
and doing that whilst you're actually in like a blank space in the VR. So you can see the controllers in front of you. Like they're kind of grey. The other thing as well, once you pointed it out to me, I love this. You're holding the controllers in real life. You know, your hands are all over them. You wouldn't be able to see anything on them if you wanted to. In the VR, because of course your hands aren't in the VR with you, and the controllers are. There's little lights on them to show you the battery power.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That is, yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
They don't exist, but they do in VR. But it's like VR's real, bloke, so it's fine.
This is the thing. It's like, I think this is the way that people need to look at it, where it's like, if you want to sort of get down to what makes it so great, what makes it so impressive, and why we've sat here for like 25 minutes talking about how great it is you need to kind of get straight in your head getting very philosophical, what reality is. It's what you experience, isn't it? It's what you're looking at. It's what you can hear. It's what you can see. It's what you can feel. So if there is a device that you can put over your eyes, over your ears, and in your hands that changes everything around you, literally everything, there is no hint.
The movement, like, you can see me move my head around quite a bit, right? It is instant. The speed at which this moves is exactly how it would move. Like, I look up like this, it's fine. Look down. There's no delay. There's no like lag or anything. It's
no motion
instant.
blur. There's nothing like that.
It's just
it works
instant.
the way your eyes work. I mean, you have to move your head instead of your eyes, but it's the same. When you turn your head, you don't sort of do it in a jerky fashion. You don't sort of slowly do that. It's compulsive. It's like all over the place, and it keeps
it's natural.
Up exactly.
It's like you said. It's human. It's natural, and this is the greatest thing about this. It is a way of just using computers without having to know any shit about computers. It's like if you go back and when the first, I think it was the Mac, one of the Macs I think it might have been the first Mac, but the GUI, the graphical user interface for an operating system, I couldn't use a command line operating system.
No,
but I can use a GUI one, right? So I can click, like, basically Windows. Yeah, I can click on it and it's fine. But that's still a barrier to entry. My parents couldn't use that. My grandparents couldn't use it. A load of people I know just simply can't use computers. They don't have to. It's not something they do. They use their smartphones. That's great. But you stick this on their head, and holy shit, they can use it. And my dad, he likes to do like abstract art and stuff. Oh, well, I showed him Tilt Brush. He was in there for 3.5 hours. He was in it for 3.5 hours, and he cannot believe how accurate it is. and he couldn't believe that he could walk through what he'd made, and it's
Yeah.
just, it blows everybody. Nobody has put this thing on and gone, this is crap, or what is wrong with this.
Yeah.
There are some negatives which we should probably talk about.
I was just going to
I'll talk about that in a sec.
I was just going to finish by saying that is the thing. It's like you need to look at what reality is. It's what you experience, what you see, what you hear, what you feel. That replaces all of it. There's no hint of the real world. Like the only thing that there is a barrier in terms of the interactive space that you've got, which is displayed via like there's kind of like a box around you that's got like lines.
It's called the chaperone. You can turn it off if you're feeling adventurous. A good example of this is when you watch my budget cuts video. I'm high, like in the like on the ceiling, and there's a room, and below me, on the ceiling of this room, there's like metal conduits, and you can teleport on top of the conduit and look down, and there's a robot, and you want to like chuck a knife at him. And I was going to do this. I know I'm standing in here. I know the floor's fine. I'm like, there we go. I'll fire the teleport bomb over, click teleport, and as soon as I get there, I'm like, whoa, and I've like lost. But I know I'm not standing on a fucking thing 20 feet in the air. But I was like, God, and I instinctively went down to grab the floor, and then I quickly got the knife and chucked the knife down, and it's like, it's just mind blowing. It really is mind blowing. And
it's so.
Even now, it's like I'm sitting here, and it's just completely surreal. It's real. It's surreal, and it's real at the same time. You can't. I urge everybody, if you can get somewhere to try one of these headsets, then please do it. I know it takes a ridiculously powerful computer to run and all of that shit, but if you can just experience it, you will. I bet my life on it. You'll say this is amazing and it's the future.
Yeah.
But in terms of problems, because it's not all great and it's not all like this is amazing, the resolution in this headset needs to be better. I mean, I'm using virtual desktop here, so I can see all the text on the screen. It's a little bit blurry because the resolution's not high enough to handle the text good. So if I look at my monitor, it's massively sharper than it is in the headset. The curious thing about this is has no impact on your enjoyment on the headset when you're using VR applications. So looking at my desktop is arguably not what this is designed for, right? It's not. This is just a crazy application somebody's made. But playing the games, playing the archery game, playing anything, or using the applications that are designed for it that show information in the 3D space, not on flat screens, amazing. The cinema stuff, because you can sit in a private cinema, and it's really funky because when you get in, you sit in it. You know, like there's massive leather chairs, fancy cinema chairs. It's like one of those, and you look to your left, and there's like 3 more. You look to your right, and there's a couple more. You feel like you're there, but again, the problem is you're watching a video back on a flat screen. And it's not that you can tell, like it will piss you off because you can see the pixels sometime when you really focus on it, and it's like, But in VR applications, it doesn't matter. Problem with this is they've actually got the technology to give you the display that would be high enough resolution for it. However, the GPU required to drive 90 FPS, 4K resolution it would be more than that into each eye.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist. Even if you had quad fucking Titan XSLI, it wouldn't do it.
It's the amount of power required to actually keep that thing running at a stable frame rate that means that you're not going to end up with, horrendous eye strain or, migraines is unbelievable.
That's the other thing with this. If it doesn't run at 90 FPS, you've had it. If it runs at like 70, you may as well just go and kill yourself.
There are a couple of moments.
What happens is it flickers really bad and it just fucking annihilates you. You can't use it.
You even told me when I tried it. Like I think people probably know this already. I've talked about this before. I get migraines. Like they're basically stress related, but they can also come from like stimulation of my eyes. So sometimes flickering lights. Like next door. For instance,
I installed LSD Nightmare. LSD That's good.
Nightmare. Sounds horrible. Next door to me, they have barbecues during the summer all the time. Fine, don't care, do what you like. They often have a fire, like a fire pit outside. If I'm going to bed and they're stored out there at like 2 o'clock in the morning and the fire's still going, sometimes the flickering through the curtains of the fire will trigger a migraine. Like it just happens sometimes. And you even said to me when I put that headset on, when we were doing the valve lab,
worse than that.
It was like. If it goes even for like a second, shut your eyes and I'll tell you when to open your eyes again. And it's right, because when the frame rate stutters, if you see the frame rate stutter on your monitor, it's like, oh, that looks a bit off. When it happens, and that's literally all your vision is like essentially a giant. It's not a giant monitor, but you get what I mean. You're not seeing stuff at the rate that your eye should see it, and you haven't got something around it to stabilize it. Like when something goes wrong,
It's an
on like
effect
a
you
graphics,
can't. It's an effect
you can't get away
replicate,
from it.
because imagine if your eyes suddenly stopped working at the normal rate. That's what happens with the
Yeah.
headset on, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh god, and your brain has a right.
Your brain doesn't
spasm.
know how to handle it.
You
If
just
it's on a
collapse.
monitor, like especially like here,
Yeah.
if a game's performance collapses, there's stuff around it that you can see, and it basically means that doesn't have an effect.
It makes
on
you
your
very
brain.
nauseous. Like you go very like, oh
Yeah,
god, I feel really ill. And
the first time it happened, I was like, oh god,
I
I
don't
nearly
even
shut my
have.
eyes.
Yeah, and I don't
So
even
like,
have
God.
problems with headaches or anything, but it annihilated me. I was like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, what the hell? That's because I'm running it on a 780, which is not. It's an overclock 780. The 970 is the minimum NVIDIA GPU. Obviously, you want a 980 Ti really to run it. But my 780 is actually a little bit faster than a 970, so I thought maybe I'd get away with it, and I have. Like, I mean, it works in most applications.
Oh yeah,
What tends to happen is when it loads, it goes a little bit shit. So if you're trying to load in certain types of tests in the VR lab, it will go really shit FPS, and then once it's in, it's fine and it's playable.
the actual games themselves are fine. It was just the loading screen, and because it, as you say, because it's all you can see, and it is basically
it just blows you away,
looking at reality as it is. It's all your eyes can focus on. It's just like
it needs something where it just goes to a default screen, to just like a safe place when that happens, because that's just like absolutely fucking
That's
terrible.
actually a really good idea. If there was
should have that, yeah.
if there was like a trigger for an FPS drop, so if it registers that the FPS has dropped, if it just then blanked it out so you couldn't see anything and then brought it back
Milky
when it
Way's down
stabilized,
there.
that would be really really good. That would save a lot of people, because that's something that it's kind of easy to forget, but like people who do have problems with their eyes, people who do have problems with headaches and migraines and stuff like that, if they're sort of happily playing away and then suddenly they get smashed with like a collapsed frame rate, it's gonna be it's gonna be a world ending. It's like, oh,
you know, when you get like
and even
the
people who
alert,
don't, like, it's still bad, ain't it? It's not great.
When you get the alert on games and it says warning, you know, might cause epilepsy or whatever, this would just kill you. It would just be like, it's the end of the day.
It'd just be that.
So my point was, the technology is there pretty much in the displays to be able to give you a headset of that resolution, but it can't be driven.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a couple of years until that's the case. But once that's ironed out, and then you're looking at a case of the text is pinpoint, it's pinpoint clarity like it is on a monitor.
Yeah.
Then you have no reason. Like, I would use a virtual desktop all the time. Then now I'm not going to use it now because it's not clear enough. Long duration, like if I use it for a couple of hours, like after hotfix, I don't want to use it after that, because we're going for like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever. It's like, which leads me into the other thing, which is the comfort of these things. Look how big this is. I've got a thing strapped to my face. Now, I spoke to people who own both, the Oculus and the and this. Oculus is more comfortable. It's a smaller unit on your head. It doesn't have as wide a field of view as the Vive does. So this you can actually see more, which actually is reflected in the videos that I have made on the channel, especially the one with the drone, because people were saying, "Oh, we couldn't see the drone," but I can. Like,
yeah.
I can't see my hand now because I'm in a virtual reality. But if I had to control it, if I had it down here, I could still see it. But you guys, you can't see it on the camera. So, you know, but I can still see it. It feels natural. It's not totally natural because I still would be able to see like pretty much to the side of me, not in detail, like, but you'd be able to see something moving fast or whatever. It's not at that level yet, but yeah. But anyway, going back to the comfort thing, you've probably watched me do this a few times. That's because I'm readjusting it on my face, because this headset has got a nasty habit of resting on your nose after a while.
Yeah, I found that quite bad. I also,
when I was trying
I didn't adjust it properly, so it was resting really heavily. Like I think I was sort of standing there going,
yeah.
for most of it, but that's, you know,
you see these on the side here,
can't it?
They move the front of the unit backwards and forwards like that. These straps pull it tighter around the side, strap on the top, and then there's a twizzly knob here which changes the focus point, the distance between the lenses inside, so it's very customizable. The Rift is like, that's it, put it on your head. If it don't work for you, then, you know, kiss my arse. But yeah, it's not an ultra comfortable thing. It's a bit too heavy, really, I think, for really long use.
It does work with glasses, though. I will say that. I wear glasses. I don't wear them whilst I'm recording stuff like this, because the reflection of the monitor and the glasses really gets on my nerves. And no one else cares, but it gets on my nerves, so I don't do it. But I had about half the time I had the Vive on without glasses, which, by the way, even though my eyes are knackered, it still worked perfectly fine. And the other half, I had my glasses on underneath. And actually, the way they've designed it, glasses like these that I've got, so, you know, fairly. I mean, they're not like really low profile, but they're fairly low profile. They fit really comfortably inside the Rift. It's like it kind of goes around them, not over them. So
Oh, I don't want to take my headset off because it'll mess the audio, but there's actually quite a lot of space
Yeah, yeah.
in the headset. I mean, there's a good like that much kind of space between your eyes and the screen, so it's like you can get stuff in there. Yeah, but I think one last thing I suppose we should talk about, because I think this will be a really dangerous thing for that, is people who are vulnerable or want to who like really want to escape.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that like I keep saying, I am in space in a nebula with like, I'm not in the real world, but this seems real to me. And
it is the ultimate form of escapism. You can literally tune out.
It's almost like that
actual
sci-fi
reality.
nightmare, isn't it? Of like people just sitting in little cubicles with headsets on. I think there's a bit in Blade Runner, isn't there, where he gets somebody out of like a machine. Is it Blade Runner? Yeah. He gets somebody out of a machine, don't he? Who's like on holiday somewhere or something in like a VR thing. Is it? It's some sort of sci-fi film. But it's all throughout. I mean, there's a fucking Red Dwarf episode, isn't there, where he's got the VR headset, and it's like what? But now it's reality.
And the VR crotch attachment. Hell. Got to wait for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like when I said about Audio Shield and being able to play that all day, I'm not joking. I would quite happily have played that all day. Like, and if the archery
I played it for like 3 hours on a stream. I fucking was addicted to that.
Yeah, if the archery game was longer, if there was multiple levels, you'd lose me for the entirety of that.
Imagine a multiplayer archery game, bloke. You've got a castle, I've got a castle, and it's spawning guys and they're running towards, and we're having to shoot the guys and then shoot each other. You just can't even. You can't even imagine that, can you? It's just insane.
It's. I think it's probably more dangerous than standard kind of video games by quite some margin, because
this is nothing. Normal game addiction is nothing compared to this. This is like everybody said this to me as well. Who I have had with a headset on, they've said this is like it's like a drug. It's like it's amazing. Kind of, I mean, I've been skydiving. It's
amazing.
I've been skydiving with the Red Bull skydiving team. What the fuck?
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that if you don't.
If you don't like heights.
Yeah, I don't like heights, but I'm stupid. I'm like, oh, all right then. Let's load in a 360 fucking Red Bull skydiving video. So as you're skydiving, you can move your head around. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's
It puts you in a position where you can do
right now.
You can do anything. Eventually, you'll be able to do anything anywhere.
What about the International Space Station? What about that? You remember when you went there and looked at the International Space Station?
Yeah.
How crazy is that? And that Canadian dock, I think it was in Vancouver somewhere.
Yeah.
You feel like you've been there. I know it sounds cheesy, but you do feel like you've been there.
Yeah, if you showed the picture to me, I'd be like, oh yeah, I know where that is. But I've never been there. I've literally never been there. I stood in an office in the Midlands in the UK, and now I know what part of Vancouver looks like.
And there's an iPad attached inside the International Space Station next to an IBM ThinkPad, and that thing where they've got the food reheater or something on the side. It's like, what's this?
It's crazy. We're gonna lose. But I mean, you talk about those stories about like people in LAN cafes. They've been there for 4 days and then they die from lack of nutrition. This is going to have to come with some sort of addiction warning. Like, for the love of 100%. God, just take it off every couple of hours. Take it off. Go and do something else. Don't piss yourself, and remember to eat. That is the thing that you need to remember when you put this on, because people will forget and they'll just get lost, and it'll be like, oh well, I mean, I haven't eaten for 2 days. But on the other hand, I think you'll find that I just went over the Niagara Falls in a barrel, so that's something. It's like, well,
yeah, it's like me. I've been to a castle in Germany I never would have been to. I've been to an abbey in Germany. I've been to the International Space Station. I've been to Canada. Yeah. It's just stupid. Like, if you're saying this to people, it's like, what the hell? They don't understand. But when you stick it on their head and they're like, this is absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
I reckon this is going to advance so fast now. In the next couple of years, it'll become very prevalent throughout society, really. And
I'd really love to see a really fast development to the point where we're actually.
It's like smartphones. I think it's like going to be that level of.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember the short gap of time between like the first iPhone, like the first big consumer smartphone, and the stuff that came after it? It was crazy. In a couple of years, we could be seeing properly affordable like units of this stuff, where it's not just someone who's got the money to buy it, but someone who's like, oh, do I buy the next generation console, or do I buy a VR headset? It would be crazy if we get to that stage.
Yeah, I think it's very positive for what it can do. Obviously, like we just discussed, there will be negatives associated with this type of stuff.
Yeah,
but it's like nothing else you have ever experienced. I mean, I know I've got my back to you guys now because I can see that Like when I look there, I can see in my Skype preview window. But I'm sitting here and I am in space. I am absolutely in space, and I can just. It's just crazy. You know what? I feel like I'm in like a some sort of like glass dome on the top of a massive spaceship or something in space. It's just you get transported away into a completely different environment. That's why it's called virtual reality. But it's not a gimmick. This ain't cheap. This isn't like a little trick of the mind. It isn't like, I remember like 3D films at the cinema. They were like, it's just a shit gimmick. This is like, what the fuck? This is.
It's a literal replacement for the reality that you think you're in.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's a literal replacement.
It absolutely blows me away.
It's amazing. You know what? Being blown away. Come on, Dark Souls 3. We've both been
Imagine
playing
that in VR though.
I would cack myself. I'd be like, just walk around a corner and there's a massive guy with a giant sword or something. I'd be like, oh shit. I think we're pretty close. We're pretty close to. I think we're fairly even. I've been streaming it. You've been streaming it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Because I'm massively impressed with that game. Like,
which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you should subscribe to Mr. Kirioth.
I have a YouTube channel now.
Promote, do it.
Which I was actually gonna change the overlay and then I forgot. If you go over to youtube.com/KiriothTV, because I still haven't got around to changing that, even though it's a terrible name, you can see all the videos I make, and there's loads of them.
You mean like Unit Lost Tube? What the fuck?
Anyway, we registered Unit Lost Gaming at the same time. I'm sure we did. But we never used it, and I can't remember why.
Oh, I don't know why.
There was a reason for it.
Stupid reason. Yeah.
But yeah, also go over to Twitch as well. Twitch.tv/Kirioth, because I'm streaming now as well. Although at the moment I'm streaming mostly during the day, but that's what having a kid will do for you. I have to go on baby duty in the evenings at the moment.
Should just put this on the kids' head. I don't give it massive nightmares.
Given the size of her head, she'd only be able to look into one lens. It'd be terrible. She'd be lost in it. She could use it as a bed probably. So yeah, anyway, Dark Souls 3. I'm 4 bosses in at this stage.
I don't know where I am.
You're 3 in. We've killed 3 of the same bosses. And you've also.
We won't spoil it for you, ladies and gentlemen.
No, there's no spoilers. There is a guy that you killed. I'm not going to say which guy it is because no one will know. You killed this person in the man's way. I killed it in the idiot's way.
But it's still dying, so it's still
I did my first ever cheese in Dark Souls 3 today.
Oh dear.
I tried to steer clear, but it was pissing me off. I think I died 10 times that stream, which is 9 more than I died in the stream before, which is a bit gutting. So I've got worse since I started playing the game. And he killed me 4 times by himself, and I was like, I'm not having this. I've got an idea. It worked. It's still got it. You can still cheese the bosses, which I love, even though I don't usually do it. I like the fact that it's there. It feels so much more like Dark Souls 1 than Dark Souls 2, which I really like, but it's so much smoother. It's like Dark Souls 1 got like a fancy, like a facelift and a pretty dress, and they got athletic as well. So like the combat feels so much
like a
smoother
modern
and
Dark
so much
Souls,
nicer.
don't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Dark Souls. That's what I wanted from Dark Souls 2. I wanted it to feel like a modern Dark Souls, but it felt like a game that was
fake.
based
It felt
on Dark
like a
Souls.
fake Dark Souls. Yeah, it was like a knockoff Dark Souls. I mean, it was still Dark Souls. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, this is like this. I mean, I was running around. I don't want to spoil it, but I was running around one area, and it was such a well built area with all like the back passages and everywhere else you could go. It totally reminded me of when I first played Dark Souls, and you would see like this little nook or cranny, and you go down there, and it leads to this, and then I mean, I think I caught you saying a few times when you was watching my stream, like, "Well, I never found that," or "What the hell is this?" And
well, this
like,
is the thing.
That type of thing is what Dark Souls level design. That's what
until I watched you play, because I streamed for the first time at like 3 o'clock or like 2 o'clock or something, and then I stopped, and then you took over at 6 on the Untitled channel, and I was like, I went straight into watching your stream, and what I was thinking when I was playing through was, I was like, I'm really enjoying this. This is really good. Like, I'm really liking this, and I was having a good conversation with the chat about it. But I did think to myself, it feels a bit more like linear than Dark Souls 1. And I love the fact that in Dark Souls 1, there's so many different ways you can go.
Yeah,
there's so many different things you could do straight off. And I thought to myself, well, I'm really enjoying Dark Souls 3. The level design seems to be spot on. And there was like, in the back of my head, there was just a little thing that was like, there doesn't seem to be as much to explore. But that's because the way I played for the first sort of 3.5 hours it's a Dark Souls game, ain't it? So I went in and I was like, I flat out refuse to charge around like a nutter because I'll just get killed over and over. I want to do this proper. I'm going to take it methodical. I'm going to see what people do. I'm going to, learn to parry. I'm going to dodge. I'm going to get familiar with the mechanics, and I'm going to take it step by step. In doing that, I took the most obvious path every time. Like, it just seemed like that was the way to go, so I just went that way. And I didn't do anywhere near as much exploring as I did in Dark Souls 1. Watching your stream, though, you're doing more of noticing little side bits. Like, you found a guy that I didn't even know existed. I walked past the little alley that you went down to get to this guy, and I could even get to him if I wanted to. I've got the item that allows me access. I didn't know he was there. I got the item, and I was like, okay, I'll look out for that. But I didn't look hard enough. I was kind of doing almost like a linear path that I didn't need to do. And so it's really, I really like the fact that I'm watching your stream and I'm like, oh, I've been through this area. And then you'll find something like, don't know what the hell that is. I need to go back and find out now. I need to know what that is. Like, what does that do? But that's another thing that I really like about it.
It'd be interesting to see if it takes that even further, because the Dark Souls, I remember Vati Vidya, I think he's called, with the lore from Dark Souls, where he got big on YouTube because he really dived into it. And I remember watching his videos thinking, is it really this complicated? Because I'd been through the game and I was like, I kind of understood what was going on, sort of, but I didn't know really what any of the characters were doing or any of that. Yeah, here's a guy telling me that actually it's really complicated. I'm like, wow. So, I mean, if it goes into that kind of level of detail, which I guess it should, because I think Bloodborne did, that's like another layer to it. So, I mean, you may say you've gone through a section, that's fine, and I've gone through maybe seeing just a little bit more, but then that extra level, when you're on New Game plus or whatever, and then something else happens, that is, I think, I mean, I'm like, to say it doesn't sound right to say I'm not the biggest Dark Souls fan. I enjoy them when I play them, and I'm really enjoying Dark Souls 3. But even to me, this feels like the best Dark Souls game. I don't think it'll, well, I say that, I don't think it'll replace the impact Dark Souls had on me when I first played that. I did play what's the bloody prequel one? Demon Souls. Well, it's not a prequel, but Demon Souls. I played that, but after I played Dark Souls first, that was my first introduction to the Souls series. So that's always probably going to have a special place. It's kind of like your first MMO type of syndrome. But this Dark Souls 3 feels like you said, a refined Dark Souls, and it doesn't feel like a crap imitation. It feels like this is just Dark Souls, but it's better, and it runs better to a point on PC. There is a stupid bug with Kepler architecture NVIDIA cards. So your card, I think your card, I'm not sure actually, my card.
It is my card. But
it's lighting. If you have lighting on anything other than low, it'll just crash the game.
See, I got salty on the last stream I did. I got severely salty. One of the things that just poured on the salt, I streamed it for 3.5 hours, right, on Monday. Was it Monday? What day are we on? No, it must have been Tuesday. It came on Tuesday, didn't it? Whenever it was released, I streamed it that day.
Wednesday, sir.
Yeah, we're on Wednesday today. So yeah, it was yesterday. I streamed it for 3.5 hours. No problems. Not an issue. Nothing. Not a shred of crashing. Admittedly, for some reason it was a bit choppy on OBS, but it was fine for me. So I had the FPS counter in the top left from Doctore, and it was solid 60 FPS all the way through.
OBS was doing that to me when I was playing Overwatch the other day. It was streaming at 30, but the game's running at 100 or something.
Yeah. OBS was saying 25 to 30 FPS, and I was like, but the game's running at 60. What are you talking about? I blame OBS for that. 3.5 hours, no issues, no crashes, nothing. Ran perfectly. It was smooth as a really smooth thing. It was nice and buttery. It was really good. Everything was great. Looked fantastic, and I was like, solid. I'm not going to have any of these issues. That's good. Today, 5.5 hours into the game, crashed. It crashed next to a bonfire. And I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
What? How does that even... So I've managed to get to this specific... No, it wasn't. It was near a bonfire, and it was fighting an enemy. And I was I was actually doing all right against him. Then it just crashed, and I was like, what the hell, game? What is this about? Why did it do that? That confused me no end. I did change the lighting down to low, just in case. But it seems like a really strange bug if it can be...
Well, it never crashed for me today with it being down on low, but it did the other day. But it doesn't save that graphics setting. It obviously when it crashes, it doesn't save the... Oh no, it saves the others, but it doesn't save that one for some reason. So there are little weird things like that, but I think overall it's a really strong entry, and it's something that if you're a Dark Souls fan, I mean you're probably playing it now anyway if you're a Dark Souls fan, but it's very, very good, and you should play it on PC. Don't play it on Xbox One because it runs at about 20 FPS.
Yeah.
PS4 is obviously a bit better, but PC, well, it's going to give you 60 FPS, but it may crash if you use Kepler architecture GPUs, which is the 700 series family, I think. I don't think the 980s and the 970s and whatever suffer from it. And the 960s. Is there a 960? I think there is.
Yeah, I think so. I want to say as well, I think the storytelling is back to what I expect as well. Dark Souls 2 felt a little lackluster. Like, Dark Souls 2 for me, the one word I'd use to sum up all of Dark Souls 2 in my personal experience is mediocre. It just wasn't as good. It just wasn't as... The combat didn't feel... Well, the combat felt different.
I never finished it. It bored me. I was like, this is boring. I did finish it. Sorry, I did finish it because it was that. Yeah. I remember at the end, it was like in that tomb when you fight the big woman, and
I went through.
It was boring.
I went through Scholar of the First Sin.
I
did all of that, and it was like it tweaked it, but not enough. It still wasn't enough to make it as enjoyable as Dark Souls 1 by any stretch of the imagination. Dark Souls 3, it seems to have got that kind of mysticism back that Dark Souls 2 was missing. Like, I mean, spoiler, but when you get to filing, it's like, I mean, that's the very start of the game. When you go into that room, that to me, that is Dark Souls. Like the thrones in Filing Shrine, and they're all stepped up, and it's like I just looked in, spoke to everyone in there, and it's like, oh my god, yes, it's home. I'm back home. This is what I want from this series. Is exactly that.
That's like Demon Souls. That is because in Demon Souls you have like massive, although they don't operate the same way, but in Demon Souls you walk into a room like that and it's got these massive like tombstone type things, and you click on them and they port you to the areas. It's kind of like that, but they don't work like that in Dark Souls. They're just big massive thrones for the sake of it, but it is very good. I think it's very good, and that the greatest thing for me with Souls games is that I like just being completely lost and then being like absolutely on the end of capitulation. I'm about to die and I don't know what's going on. Like there was a bit with like a big giant rat thing and like little rats, and I'm like I'm gonna die. God, yeah. I don't know where I am. I don't know where the bonfires are. I'm just gonna die. I've got like no health. I've got no Estus faster. Yeah, I pull off some amazing like kill and manage to get out of there, and lo and behold, right round the corner, there's a bonfire, and it's like yes, and it's things like that which just. That's Souls. It's like, whoa, yeah, this is what I want.
It's that and stupid deaths. Like I don't when I am fighting a group of enemies, or I'm fighting an enemy and I make a stupid mistake and I die, and it's because I fucked up and it's my own fault and I know it's my fault. That's irritating. Yeah. That's like, oh, for God's sake, Christ! Like that pisses me off because it's like I did that. I fucked up. That was my own fault. Stupid deaths in the Souls games. There is no other game that you can present to me that does stupid deaths quite as well as Dark Souls. The first time I died in the first stream, because the first stream I did, I died once out of 3.5 hours, which I was massively impressed myself for, given how terrible I was.
You must have been very cautious.
Oh yeah, I was really cautious. I just didn't want to charge about, but I still managed to get 3 bosses in that time, which I think is not too bad. But as I said, I didn't do that much exploring. I went on a fairly linear path. But my one death in that stream was like,
didn't you summon people in to kill the bosses?
Death. I did, but then I went back with another character. I went back with another character afterwards. Like the stream, I'm doing a bit of jolly cooperation, as they say. I went back with another character, a warrior, because I didn't want to do knight. I felt like trying something I say a bit different. It's just got lower health and more strength.
Deprived guy, or I am the deprived. Whatever, he's deprived, doesn't it? I'm like, he's depraved, this guy is. I think he's deprived, though, isn't it?
He came from the profane capital, the depraved man.
Yeah, that made me laugh.
The warrior, I've got 3 hours. No, 3. Yeah, I've got 3.5 hours play on the warrior, and he's died 4 times so far.
But that's Dark Souls though. Once you know how to do it, you can just blast through it, and it's like I like trying to work out what the bosses do. Like the well, I don't want to spoil it, but the one boss when he's a big guy and you can only like attack certain bits of him. Let's say, working out how to do that. Like to me, that's great. And admittedly, I killed him pretty quick. I think this is a problem, right? Everybody's kind of Souls trained now. It's like you know what to expect. You know to expect the cheesy bastard round the corner who's going to chop you. Or like that first Souls experience. Chest a mimic? Yeah.
Every chest I come across,
you just start flailing at it, and it's like
it's like you just know. In a way, it takes it away from it, but another way, it just means you kind of get to enjoy the game in a different way than the first one. Like the first Dark Souls game is the one filled full of like shock, horror, and surprise all the way through. It's like every room you go
Yeah.
into, you're like, oh my god, what the hell is in here? Because everything scares the shit out of you, because everything's going to murder you. By the time you get to like your second and then your third Dark Souls game, you know what to expect. It doesn't make
And your
for me though.
Bloodborne in between.
Yeah, for me though, it doesn't make it any less tense because it's still like there's still stuff to surprise you. Like the bit that I died on in the first stream, I had no health, like I had nothing, but I knew where the bonfire was. I knew the shortcut back to the bonfire. I just needed to get back there, and then I could go back to where I wanted to go. I was really close to it. I was like, okay, I just need to go up this lift. I'm fine. I see one guy by himself, and I even say in the show, I'm like, if he touches me, I'm binned. I'm binned if he touches me. If he so much as looks at me, I am absolutely fucked. I killed him. I was like, okay. He's got 4 mates hiding behind a wall, and they all just jump over the wall. And I'm like, oh shit, oh god, fuck. You can see me panic, like you can literally see the panic setting. I'm rolling all over the place like an idiot. I get to the lift, I stand on it. It gets like to about head height. One of them stabs me in the shin and I die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh god, like that was a stupid death. That was a funny death because it was like I tried really hard, and that I kind of managed to panic my way out of the situation. I thought I was safe, but then it's Dark Souls, ain't it? You're never safe. So I got poked and died. I really like that. It's something where I don't think there's that many other games that can kind of make you laugh at your own death when it's something when there's that much at stake. You know, when you've got all the mobs respawning, when you've got to make the slog again, where you've got to like run back, or you've got to kill a bunch of people to get back to the
It's
boss.
that thing of when you're first moving through an area. It might take you half an hour to get through there, but you could actually sprint in 2 minutes and get through there.
Yeah.
You know where everything
Yeah.
is, but you take
Yeah.
ages doing it, and you feel like you're very far away from like safety, but you're not really. It's like, well, when you die, it's like, oh god, and then you realise, oh, I can actually run really quick back to this place, or do whatever. But probably one of the best things with Dark Souls 3 is the environment and the world that they've designed, because it feels like Dark Souls 1, because Dark Souls 1 wasn't this like mental disjointed design. Like Dark Souls 2 was, I remember you get to Majuli or whatever the bloody town was called, and like you do a left and you're in a massive forest, you do a right and you're in like a fucking Anor Londo style place, and it's like, what the hell? It was just totally like disjointed and a bit mental. Whereas this is, you're in a massive fucking castle and you seem to be going down the castle, but the castle's like massive and it's just like, it's gothic and dark, and it's like
I love that visual of Lothric where you can turn around and see
and it's massive,
the high part of Lothric. You got all these soaring towers and massive fortress walls, and you look at it and you immediately think, I want to go there. I need to go there. I absolutely need to go there. I didn't get that in Dark Souls 2. I got that in Dark Souls 1 all the time. It's like, what the hell is that place? I need to investigate this. Dark Souls 3, they've absolutely brought it back. One thing I will say that I'm not a massive fan of in a way. I like Dark Souls, but I'm never going to pretend I'm anything more than a nab at it. And I like tanky builds. Like, I enjoy playing tanky characters. I like being able to go up to stuff and being like,
the fat roll for days.
Yeah, I like the fat roll. I like being able to go up to us and go on then, hit me. I don't care, hit me. And obviously you're not supposed to do that, and most of the time I do not do that. Like, I don't just walk up to stuff face first and go on then, bro. Like, I don't do that. But it feels like so far that's not really an option. Like, everything hits, obviously in Dark Souls everything hits hard, but putting up a shield doesn't feel like a valid defense in Dark Souls 3. It did in Dark Souls 1, it did to an extent in Dark Souls 2. It doesn't feel like it's a valid way to survive in Dark Souls 3, because you get hit on the shield and like half your stamina just vanishes instantly. You get hit again, you got no stamina. That's it. But that seems to apply to every mob that I've come across. They can just slap the shield aside in 2 hits, and a lot of them attack very quickly, or like they do crazy little moves. Like, there seems to be more move variation as well in Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls 1
and it's more precise, it seems to me. Like, their weapon is where they hit. And it doesn't seem like it's got a massive hitbox, or you've got loads of invulnerable frames when you're rolling about. It's like you have to time it perfectly as they're going to smash you with the weapon, and a lot of them do that. It really fucking irritates me. They attack, like if they're using a big weapon, it hits the ground, but then they quickly flick it behind them and catch you with the back end of it, because you instinctively roll past them and then start to chop them in the back when they chop you, and it's like, you bastard. It's just a much better game, and it's got, I mean, like I said, I'm not a professional with Dark Souls, so I can't compare all the finer like changes and whatever, but it's got a system where you get like an effect on shields or like offhand items which will activate.
Yes, I really
a
like
special
that.
effect on certain weapons, and you get all this different type of stuff, and there's like loads of move sets for the weapons. There's a rolling attack, there's a rolling light attack, there's like a heavy attack, there's a jumping heavy. I mean, I know you get that in other Dark Souls, but it's very I mean, there's like a pair of daggers you can get which move you behind the enemy, so you can chop in
I
the back.
saw
And
you using
all
those.
crazy shit like that.
I
And they
picked
attack really
those up.
quick.
Yeah, I picked those up in the same area. But
Well, my guy's a dexterity guy, so he can use
Yeah.
them. Like, yeah.
I'm, funnily enough, all about that strength, so I'm running around with a giant butcher's cleaver instead. Which, again, I do like the moveset for
I
that.
got
though.
that.
It's
I don't want to
funny.
spoil where I got it from. I got that as well.
But yeah,
Like
it's hands down. It's I'm enjoying it just as much as I enjoyed the first Dark Souls. I'm playing it differently because I know what Dark Souls games are like now. I have experience in them, but it's.
I
as
wish I could just
enjoyable as Dark Souls
erase
1
that
in a different way.
experience. Like, I wish I could have raised my experience of MMOs. And
Yeah,
just go
so
back
you
to
get
the,
that
like,
first.
wow, this Dark
thing
Souls
you get.
game. Yeah, because I remember the first time I played Dark Souls, it was on PC and it didn't work. And I'm like, I made a video.
Yeah.
In fact, you can search the YouTube channel. It was like, it doesn't work. You know, you need a controller. What the fuck? I didn't even have a controller because I was such like a fucking nutter PC gamer. I was like, I ain't using the Xbox controller. What the hell? But then, I mean, maybe a year later, I did get a controller for it, and then we started playing through with Rui, and it was like, well, this is. I mean, I remember saying, I wish I played this earlier. This is such a good game, but I just dismissed it because it was shit.
I mean, I know we stomped our
technically
way
at the time.
through because people were giving us stuff, and it was like it was a bit crazy. But it's one of the best gaming experiences going through that because even though like I was given like a mental demon axe and a load of armor and shit, I still died to bosses. I still died to surprises. I still opened chests and it turned out to be a mimic and it ripped me to shreds. And the thing is, I'm still getting a similar experience in Dark Souls 3, but in a different way. Like, this is the thing I'm liking. It still surprises me. You know, stuff still happens
there are
that I
things
don't
that
expect.
happen which you don't expect.
It's
yeah.
like you
That's
you
the
go
challenge
to do
now,
something
though.
and then
It's
bam,
the
it's
challenge.
like, oh my god.
It's like
Yeah.
Apple and their iPhone. What the hell do they do? They've got to do something to make people still interested in it. You know, but like when they've made something that a lot of people already like, it's difficult. Although that's a bit of a oh god. Do
It's gotta
forgive
be
me. This is not actually on my face in space. That's why I keep slapping the microphone. I'm like,
It's got to be the same but different. You know what? Another excellent segue. The same but different. There's been a bit of a weird thing here. So there's been a private server for World of Warcraft called Nostalrius,
yeah.
and it's been pretty popular. There's been a lot of people who have played on Nostalrius, and Eurogamer have got an article talking about the last minutes of Nostalrius with a couple of YouTube videos embedded here, where they've got like all of the players that are part of the server basically watching the server die. And the server is dying because Blizzard did the old cease and desist maneuver and demanded that it be taken down. And the guys who run Nostalrius have been basically fully compliant and fully sensible and have said from the start that if they were asked to remove it, then they would. They've been asked to remove it, and so they have. The thing that makes Nostalrius special, though, is because it is a vanilla WoW server. It's not any of the expansions. It is vanilla WoW. It's how it was all them years ago when the game launched, with all the classic raids and all of that stuff. And it's had a pretty damn big population.
Didn't this have like 500,000 active players or something?
It was
John
it was
Tron did a
something
video
crazy,
on it,
yeah.
and you know, he was like, it was quite a good video because I mean, it's like people. There's a couple of things I don't
150,000
understand.
active players with 800,000 registered.
Yeah, so I was kind of in there, almost there with registered, but they there's obviously a market for this, and I don't understand why Blizzard don't just give. I mean, EverQuest did it, right? They gave you the option to play on. They called them progression servers, and what happened is, I mean, EverQuest had shitloads of expansions, and it would go back to the start. Albeit it wasn't exactly the same. There were some minor changes, but it'd go back to the start, and then after maybe 8 months, it would then unlock the next expansion, and then after a certain period, it would unlock the next one. And people, I think they want that with World of Warcraft, maybe up until Wrath, and then they don't want any more. I think Blizzard, though, they always seem to me like they're no, that's the past. We can do better. We don't want you going back to old experiences. We're going to give you something better. But I'm afraid I need to say this, and this is coming from a guy who's been to Blizzard. World of Warcraft is very stale right now. Warlords of Draenor is just garbage. Like we played it for a week. well, not even a week. That's being generous. We played it to max level, and then we realised it was a Farmville simulator, and just fucking left. We didn't like the way the loot was dropping. The way there was no reason to go to a specific instance anymore. It was just get the loot. This may have changed now. Who knows? But I've seen people streaming World of Warcraft recently, and they're just sitting in the garrisons, and it's not the same experience. So if Blizzard see the numbers of people involved in a project like that private server, because this was a different private server than most private servers have their own bullshit pay-to-win elements where you can buy gear, you can buy levels, you can buy characters, and all kinds of stuff, and the admins just give it you. This one was different because they actually replicated the game. They wrote loads of scripts and everything just to make the game function as it did at the time, because I think they had the framework, so they had like the files, the world files, the character files, possibly the animations and stuff, but what they didn't have is the instruction to run the characters or what they should do and all of that. So they had to do that. So there's a lot of work involved. Now admittedly they know it's illegal. You can't charge for this because it is using Blizzard's product, and that's why Blizzard have defended it, I think, and gone in and said no. But they've let this ride for a long time, and that server
for long enough for 150,000 active members
but it doesn't even matter that server. Even using EverQuest as the example, that frigging progression server, I think there were 2 of them, but when it opened, and it may be now, I've not checked, but it was extremely popular, like very popular. This wasn't something that nobody played on. I never played Vanilla WoW. I did for a couple of weeks, but I was playing EverQuest and I didn't really pay attention. I'd like to go back and play Vanilla. I fucking totally would like to go back and play it. I'd sign up to that, and then loads of people would, because they don't like the way the game's gone. But Blizzard are like, no, but Legion's coming out. That'll revive the game. Will it though? What? I don't know. I don't even care. And I think there's loads of people out there who just don't even care. They are saying, Blizzard, I want to give you money, Blizzard. And Blizzard's like, no.
The problem is that Blizzard is not actually acknowledging, as also, they seem to be assuming that people don't want to play the current game, they want to play the old game. They go, no, we want to do the current game. The current game is better. We can work on the current game, and so on and so forth. That's not necessarily the case. I mean, what is wrong with, for instance, you're in that gap between expansions. There hasn't been a massive content patch for WoW for like months now. There hasn't been an update in terms of raids for ages. Why would you tell people that they don't want to go to a vanilla server, and
that's
while
the arrogance
the time
of
away?
Blizzard, and this is what people don't like. This is a problem with them. They get arrogant sometimes, or it seems like we know best, so we'll do as we say. What we're going to do is give you this game, and you're going to play it, and people don't like that. Now with Overwatch development, it's totally different, because they're like open to the community all the time. I mean,
it's crazy.
Everybody remembers the thing with Tracer looking behind, and a bloke wrote a post on the forum. Or maybe it was a woman. I don't even care anymore. And it looked like Jeff Kaplan, who's the games director, agreed and said, "Oh, I agree with what you said." And the crux of the post was, "Oh, I don't like Tracer's post. It's not Tracer. Blah blah blah. She shouldn't look like this." And blah blah blah. I'm not getting into that debate, but he just said, "Oh yeah, no, I agree. We're going to get rid of it." Internet explodes. Everybody's like, "Christ, here we go again." Blizzard don't want to offend people. It's going to be blah blah blah. But then Blizzard come out like a week later and like, no, actually the new pose for Tracer is a fucking 1930s pin-up girl pose, which is actually way more provocative than the last one. And it's like, oh, okay, then so Blizzard now are just like, fuck you. Or at least that Overwatch team is. And I thought that was a great response. It got public positive reaction all over the place. But they do take a lot of feedback off people. Even when I went to Blizzard, they were taking feedback off us, and some of that has actually made it into the game. Which is great, and you see, and it's like, okay, this is good. With World of Warcraft, it just seems like we are the biggest MMO. We are the biggest subscription MMO, so we know what we're doing. So you do as you're told, and there was a point where it changed. It went from vanilla. Loads of people enjoyed vanilla. We played Burning Crusade, and we played Wrath, and we enjoyed it. And then what happened? It just collapsed, and it's like, well, what has gone on at that point? Did they lose critical members of the team? Is it Tom Chilton? Wasn't he there?
Yeah.
And then does he work for Riot now or something? I mean, I don't know what any of these people have done, guys, in regards to WoW, because I'm not that up on WoW's history and that, but there is definitely a marked turning point where that game became worse, and as a result of that, people just started, well, leaving, and Blizzard
The
appeared to be in this state of, no, we know best, and we'll fix this. And
Well, the thing is as well is they seem to take it as an insult. Where it's like they seem to think people are going, "Oh, old WoW was better. We want old WoW,"
Yeah.
and they're going, "No, new WoW's fine. No, it's fine. Look, we're making it really good. Don't go back and play old WoW. That you can't play old WoW." Sometimes people aren't. Sometimes people don't think that the previous version of something is necessarily better. Sometimes they just want to play the old fucking version of it. Like, I mean, let's take for example. I mean, it's a completely different game, but it's the same principle. Dawn of War 2, the original Dawn of War 2. Dawn of War 2 Retribution's out. It's an expansion. It's got a decent campaign. Does that mean that people will never, ever go back to play the original Dawn of War? Well, no, of course they will, because they enjoy it. It's the same with WoW. You might want to go back.
The biggest problem with that example is, though, but the problem with that example is you can do that because these are standalone games. When Blizzard control everything and they force the update, you may really enjoy Wrath of the Lich King, but then what was the other one? The one with the big dragon Deathwing guy. That comes out.
Cataclysm, yeah.
Yeah, and gets rid of most of the old world. You might have liked those. You now have no way of going back. But lo and behold, private servers start popping up where people have worked out how to actually host the game, and then you can experience it. So Blizzard, you can see. I mean, I can't. What's that server called?
Nostalrius.
Nostalrius. Okay. You look at the webpage for that. I think it's taken down now. But when they had the webpage up and all that stuff, it looks professional. This isn't some joke shop operation. This is like a passion project, a labour of love. These people should be hired by Blizzard. You know what I mean? They should be going. If I was, I'd be like, right, we're going to find these guys. We'll take this offline because this is dodgy and illegal. But I want all their files because Blizzard repeatedly say we cannot host whole old WoW. We don't have the capability of doing that. Everything's changed. They must
have people not being paid. Did it? You know,
and
they're
not Blizzard.
They're not receiving any money for it. They're literally doing it in their spare time. If a bunch of people can do this in their spare time, Blizzard can do it. And if Blizzard feel like they can't do it, hire the people who achieved it without being paid in their evening time.
Yeah.
Do that. I mean, it's really frustrating because it's denying a service that they could offer, but they refuse to out of stubbornness. Not because
What company knows there is a market available for a product that they have already made and they could sell again, does not sell it?
Yeah.
And how stupid does this sound? This is
and it's not even
stupid, isn't it?
It's not even like this is an isolated incident. It's not like, well, there was only ever one WoW legacy server. There's been loads of them. They've been popping up all over this shop for years and years and years. I mean, hell, when we started playing WoW during Burning Crusade, I remember distinctly one of the guys that we used to know from college telling me about a WoW legacy server that he was on, a vanilla WoW server, when Burning Crusade was out. How long ago was that?
Yeah.
And yet, for some reason, no, you're not allowed to do that. No, decided you can't do it. Just do it. Just set up a server, charge the subscription, allow people to have characters on there, and watch the money roll in for no effort.
Yeah.
You don't ever have to update it. You don't ever have to change it. You literally set it live, and then you just watch yourself get loads of money because people resubscribe to relive the old nostalgia days. You literally wouldn't have to update it ever because it's a vanilla WoW server. That's it. God
it's
damn.
ludicrous when you think about it. It's stupid, and
Yeah.
all this does is makes Blizzard look worse. What I would imagine that at some point in the future they will introduce this, maybe, right? I think it depends on what happens on Legion. I think you'll get the same old thing. Everybody who's played WoW in the past will probably think, oh, all right, then I'll give it a go. You know, we get the level boost, whatever, and then they either play for a month or it manages to get them back in, or God knows what.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people out there, and I was guilty of this in the past, where I'd be like, I'd put a cheeky month on it, and I'd play it for an hour, and then I'd just be like, I'm not going to play this again. What have I just done? You know, you'd look at your old characters, you'd maybe make a death knight, you run around the fucking start zone, and you're like, well, all right then, I remember why I left because I don't care, and then you leave again. Everybody's done this with other MMOs as well. I've done it with, and it's just like, yeah, they're not the same. They move, yeah. But if somebody gave me EverQuest 2 now, the original EverQuest 2, which they did, although it was in a typical fucking SOE Daybreak style, but they did give it you. In one kind of way, let's say. That to me was an amazing experience, and I would do it again. You know, I remember I forgot the name of the place. Permafrost, the raid there with the ice giants and all the other shit. I remember all of that. I remember doing the prismatic weapon quest line, and it was just great. Like, it was absolutely great. And I went back and I pissed around on that, and I think I might have streamed it. It was a while back.
Yeah, you did. And that nostalgia brings people back. It undeniably brings people back. It brings back enough people to make an unfunded volunteer server massively popular and successful.
Yeah.
So why not do it? Crazy, absolutely crazy. I'll tell you what. Have you watched this yet? The Titanfall 2 trailer.
Yeah,
Titanfall
where he
2's
slams a
coming.
big sword into the ground.
Yeah.
And
I've just set it playing. I have to admit, right? I'm actually quite excited for this. Titanfall felt like a bit of a glorified tech demo in some ways. It was enjoyable, but there wasn't a huge amount of content, and there wasn't nearly enough customization. Like, why you couldn't customize the mechs to your liking was beyond me. I have to admit,
you
though,
could only like change the weapon on them and shit.
You should be able to give them fancy, shiny graphics and crazy paint jobs and all that kind of thing. I'm genuinely excited for Titanfall 2 because Titanfall 1, the core gameplay was really enjoyable. It was really fun. It was interesting. I liked the way the mechs worked. I liked the fact you had the different type of mechs that could do different things, had different strengths. It was actually not a bad game. It just didn't have enough content to keep me interested. I think I played it solidly for like maybe 3 weeks to a month, and then I just stopped and I never played it again because I'd done everything. Like, I'd played everything. No, I tell a lie. I went back very briefly to try the Horde mode, and I was like, cool. And then I never played it again because it's a Horde mode, and once you've tried it once, there's not a huge amount to go back for. But Titanfall 2, I could easily see myself getting into that again, especially if they're going to add stuff in, like customization, and like mental electric swords on the mechs. Because let's face it, you think mechs, you think punching other mechs, don't you? That's what you want to see. You want to see robot fights. It's like...
We knew Titanfall 2 was coming for a long time, really. We knew that was the case.
Yeah.
Titanfall 1 was... I played that quite a bit. It was enjoyable. But as you said, it suffered from just... once you played it for like a week, 2 weeks, you had everything, and there was no point to play it again because you didn't. I know this sounds really bad, and I don't like this kind of. I mean, like, look, I'm playing the shit out of Overwatch, and I'm not moaning about, oh god, I need more unlocks or whatever. I don't even care about unlocks. I just want to play the game because it's that enjoyable to me. It was never really like that for me. Titanfall. It was a mixture of kind of both. It was this like a little. Because let's face it, it was like a little arena shooter. Really, there wasn't a lot of.
Yeah.
The maps weren't crazy big, and then once you got your ultimate charged, it was a mech, and you dropped it down and ran around fucking wrecking people with the mech. And the mech would either be like a sniper one, or like a heavy damage one, or a little fast scout one, or something like that. And you did feel powerful at the time. And the whole thing where you jumped on the mech as the guy and like rip the power core out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's all fancy shit, and it's like that's great, but. The whole point to it was to advance, was to unlock the mechs, was to unlock the weapons, but that happened way too quick, and you could see it was almost like an afterthought. And I'm bitter, really. I mean, you say a tech demo, yeah, fair, but a fucking tech demo, you've had to pay full AAA price for a game, which is just not even got enough content to keep you going past a week if you're any kind of moderately hardcore player.
Yeah,
and it's just like that's shit. That is absolutely shit. So we need Titanfall 2. We do. Because they've got a good concept there and it will work well.
But it needs to have more. It needs to have... I had the same feeling from Titanfall that I got from Assassin's Creed, the first Assassin's Creed. I played the first Assassin's Creed and I was like, that was pretty awesome. It was underdeveloped, where's the rest of it? Yeah, and that's how I felt about Titanfall. In fairness, Assassin's Creed 2 was a lot more developed. They did a lot more with it. They added a whole load of stuff in. And it's, continued to bloat out like a...
Oh god, it became a Ubisoft fucking horror show. A massive burger addict.
But like the last, the first few of them, they just improved and improved and improved. If we see the same Titanfall 2, I would be really happy because at its core, it had good mechanics, it had good gameplay, it was fun. It just needed more of something, but it didn't have that. So, and let's face it, I want to smack someone with an electro sword. I want to see what that's like. I want to know what that like. That's kind of. That little teaser, I want to know what the melee weapons are and how you use them. Does it extend to pilots? I want to know that. Like, do the pilots have melee weapons now as well? I know it's crazy and stupid because we're in the future, why would they all be carrying swords instead of guns? But, if that was a problem, I wouldn't play Warhammer 40k. You know what? Talking of guns, this is an amazing thing. that I had to take a double take on. A Texas gun maker, sir, has come under fire for making an NES Glock.
It's come under fire. Oh,
it's an excellent headline there from Eurogamer.
What, the little light gun thing?
No, it's an actual gun.
Well, that's what I'm saying, based on the light gun.
Yeah, so a Texan manufacturer has come under fire for making a Nintendo Entertainment System themed handgun.
I'm now in
the... looking around space again.
No, the background's changed. I'm now I'm in one of Saturn's rings, and it's quite frightening.
In one of Saturn's
actually.
Rings.
Anyway, welcome
Jesus
to the
Christ.
fucking hotfix. This is really gonna tell me
what the hell.
What the fuck?
The problem is we can't see anything. You're saying all this, and we're looking at a headline of Texas gunmaker comes under fire for NES Glock. Hang on, I'm gonna cut back to you.
It's there. It's massive. It's over there.
He says, pointing at the light that he uses for the Warhammer stream.
Yeah, it's over there. It's over there.
The light is amazing. Oh god. So yeah, Precision Syndicate they're called, and they've been criticised because they posted pictures of a Glock modified to look like an NES Zapper to social media. Comments posted to the company's Facebook page express concern that children may mistake the handgun for a toy. Now, in fairness, in this case, I am all aboard the will someone think about the children train, because look at that fucking thing. Look at it. It just looks like... Well, it looks like a Nintendo Zapper thing. It just looks the Nintendo.
It looks quite good, actually. Like, it's quite a good replica.
It does. It looks like a toy, but it's not a toy. If you shoot your mate with that in jest, you will literally kill him. So
I'd be more worried about who the fuck is even using one of them these days.
I especially like this. In light of the Nintendo Glock drama, we feel that the media and our fans need to know that this firearm will not be mass-produced, nor will it ever be. Well, I'd also imagine that Nintendo are probably in the process of sending them a cease and desist letter right now anyway, because I don't think Nintendo are going to be down with people sticking...
Well, this is a company that don't like you sticking adverts on their games on YouTube,
yeah,
so
it's
I mean,
not,
you
it's not
fucking
gonna
out.
happen.
Name on a Glock.
The
kid...
name on a Glock.
Name on a Glock. Glock in
They've
the
said
dash.
this is a one-off custom build for a friend of ours due to the thousands of emails and messages we have received in the past 2 days. We've been unable to contact everyone in a timely manner. Please be patient. We'll get to you as soon as possible. So it's not mass-produced. It is something for a friend. But I can absolutely understand why people got a wee bit irritated. Because it's a ridiculous thing to do. And I have to admit, if it wasn't a big enough mistake posting it to social media in the first place, given that it looks like a toy and it's not, it's actually a gun, posting it to social media, clearly showing that the company, which they've also named, obviously on their social media, is Precision Syndicate, don't post stuff with Nintendo's name on it that they haven't authorised. Have you not heard of Nintendo? Do you not know who they are? They will send armies of lawyers and they will fuck you up.
This is people like...
ridiculous.
I know, but this is people who don't understand the internet. That's what this is. It's the company who probably like, oh yeah, this would be good for our social media. Let's put it. We'll get buzz or whatever they fucking call it. We'll generate hype. I don't know, and then they put it out there, and it's like, well, actually, mate, it's on the internet. So I'm afraid that means
they're going to come.
It's forever out there, and then you're going to get armies of God knows what chasing you down, and that's not what you want.
You're going to get armies of hate off commenters, and you're going to get flooded with cease and desist letters from Nintendo. There's no.
I really wish
no
I could show you what I'm looking at. I mean, I'm looking at the monitors, but it's like what's behind them.
This is, you know what? We didn't talk about this when we talked about VR, but I'll say it right now, and it'll be the last thing we say on VR for a while because you're probably going, all right, chill out, evangelist. We get what you're saying. The only problem with VR, no, there's two problems. The first is getting people to accept that it's great, and without them trying it, because it's really difficult to do. The second thing is you look like a fucking maniac whilst you're using a headset for VR. You look like a
to
nutter.
other people. Yeah, you
to
just
other
like this
people.
guy with a...
If there's someone else in the room, like I'm fully aware that when I was using it and I was doing like audio shield and I was dancing around the room doing this, like oh yeah, and like when I was doing the archery and I had the bow like this and I was going yeah. You look like a nutcase. You look like a freak of nature, but you don't care whilst you're in there because it's the best thing you've ever done in your life. It's amazing.
it really is. It really is.
there is no segue from that to the next story, so I'm just going to go into it. And this is not surprising, but still, GTA 5's online mode has generated $500 million, which is mental. So, as GameSpot says, Grand Theft Auto 5's multiplayer mode GTA Online is free, but Rockstar offers optional microtransactions for players who want to speed up their progress, and it turns out those microtransactions are proving wildly popular. As part of former Rockstar North President Leslie Benzie's $150 million lawsuit against Take-Two, it has been revealed that GTA Online has generated at least $500 million in revenue from microtransactions. We'll cover that very briefly, but basically the ex-Rockstar North President, Leslie Benzie, is filing a lawsuit against Take-Two for $150 million due to perceived slights to do with his contract, and Take-Two have responded and said, the guy's mental, we don't know what he's talking about. It would look like an impressive story. I read it through, and I was like, yeah, okay, we'll talk about that. And then I read it through again, and I was like, yeah, no, we won't talk about it. It's just like they did something I don't like, and they've gone, no, we didn't. That's the story, basically. That's the whole thing. It's not a non-event because it's big for them, but really, I don't really know what you're supposed to say about it other than someone suing someone for spending money and they don't agree with it. This though, GTA 5, like $500 million, I can totally believe it. I have no trouble believing that at all. I've been playing GTA 5 online a bit with some friends recently because they got the game finally. The game is massively... it's addictive, but it's also... It teases you, right? It teases you with stuff. You level up, and you get a little thing in the bottom corner of the screen, the bottom left corner. It's like, oh, you've leveled up. You've just unlocked a new modification for your car. You've just unlocked some new clothes. You can now buy a new gun. You can now buy upgrades for the gun that you unlocked last level. And then you go, okay, well, I'll go and see how much this is. You take your car to the garage. It's an engine upgrade, so your car will go faster. You're like, oh my lord. You look at it. It's $28,000. You've got $50,000 because you've just done a job, and you think I can afford that. Then you go to the ammo. Then you go to ammunition, and you have a look, and you're like, oh, that gun's pretty good. I'll buy that. I'll still have $8,000. I can buy ammo with that. So you do it. You then look at the upgrade for the previous gun. It's $10,000. What do you do? Do you do another job? I mean, I do another job because I'm not a nutter and I haven't got money to spend on microtransactions. I can easily see though, people like they release new cars all the time. I've got quite a lot of money because I've done lots of heists and stuff, and they released it was quite a while ago, like a lowrider update where you could get the cars, you could take them to this mental guy called Benny. The car, like, just to give you an idea of how crazy the money is in this game, it's taken me like a good 40 to 50 hours in the game to get like a couple of million, and the lowrider that I bought, it cost, I think it was $9,000 to buy the car. The upgrade to turn it into a proper lowrider with the crazy hydraulic suspension, $420,000.
Yeah.
And then once you've bought that, that unlocks all the rest of the upgrades to actually make it look how you want it.
Yeah, it's just a tiered system to make you spend money on it. I mean,
it is, but the thing is, it's
you could
totally see it. Like I can see people
it's got
going
a massive
in and going.
Player base though.
Yeah,
hey, how much did this make? It's made like more than any film launched, didn't it?
Yeah, it was 60 million copies that it launched.
Billions, wasn't it?
The lawsuit is currently estimates that the revenue from the game is to be around $3 billion. So it's done ridiculously well, and that's the thing. Like, it's not just the cars. That was just one example. You can buy a yacht now. Like, you can have a personal yacht. That's millions upon millions of in-game currency. You can buy helicopters. You can buy jets. You can buy tanks. You can buy like armored vehicles. You can buy bulletproof cars. Yeah, you can easily see it where someone's like, I want that car. I'm not grinding for it. I can buy it for £10. And I can upgrade it as well. And I can get a new gun. And I can get a helicopter. And then they do it. And then they're out of money. And the next time they log in, they do it again.
Yeah. You see, that's the worst kind of microtransaction thing. But you can see why they put them in. I mean, I guess anything that inflates the power of a player in any kind of way is wrong. But see, I know.
Yeah.
And I know how GTA works. And I know what you're going to say. It's not too bad. It's not. But it's still... I could roll up and just splash cash and be like you basically, or have better gear than you.
I mean, a lot of it isn't too bad because of the level restrictions. So, for instance, if you rocked up in the game, I'm like level 45 now, I think. You, for instance, couldn't come in, get the same car as me, and make it faster than mine. Mine will always be faster than yours because I'm a higher level.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's the same with the weapons. Like, you can't rock up as a level 10 and get the assault rifle I've got because you need to be level 35 to get it. So it is limited. It's limited by your level. Stuff like cars are not limited by level. So you could sit there and spend, like, I think the most expensive car in the sports car in the game is like $1.5 million. So I think at like level 10 you could just buy that. But it doesn't really affect the gameplay in any way. Like, it's just how you get from A to B. It doesn't really affect anything in terms of how powerful you are. It just means you've got a faster car. And especially in things like races, 99% of the time I've been in races, they've set it so you can't have custom vehicles anyway. So everyone starts out with the same car. And even if some guy did rock up with the most expensive car in the game, well, tough shit, you can't use it in this race. So, whatever. It's kind of a weird mix because in some ways it does allow you to be stronger. Like, you can buy upgrades for weapons. Like, if you haven't got enough money for upgrades for weapons, then you're not going to be able to afford it. But
you said that we're not going to talk about VR. Well, I am going to talk about VR now because that's an interesting thing because this headset gives you advantages and disadvantages if you think about it. If you were playing a game like Elite Dangerous, you got the headset on, you can do this. While operating the HOTAS, and you can see them and you can move around and you can do whatever. You could argue, but I could put a macro down or something so it just instantly looks behind. But the fact that you can keep your eyes on the target all the time would make it I believe, a more effective pilot. On the other hand, there are instances where using this, it's not as good as looking at a monitor. But that's when you're thinking about applications that we've got these days, not future applications that would be VR specific where you would absolutely need a VR headset. I just thought it would be interesting because also like racing games like the Dirt game, you had to go on the steering wheel. That doesn't work.
I crashed repeatedly into every wall I saw, but I had to go.
It doesn't work with this headset. It works with the Oculus Rift though, and that would give you an undeniable advantage because you can. Well, or would it? Or would it?
No, you must. You must have because you'd have a better. Surely, just by definition, you'd have a better field of view because you'd have peripheral. You don't have any peripheral on the monitor. So.
Should people with VR headsets be allowed to play against? I mean, how would you differentiate them? You couldn't because they'd just be playing through Steam. It's like, mate, I've got my VR headset on. You see, like Oculus have got their own. Oculus
like first-person shooters. Surely you'd have an advantage as well because like I say, you've got the peripheral vision. Let's look at Overwatch. If someone approaches me from the side. And they're just behind the FO view. FOV.
No.
Doesn't that mean
I played
that I wouldn't
Overwatch on this? It's absolutely shit. It's like a completely shit. Yeah, games like that, it doesn't do the depth because it's a screen. How can it do it?
Right,
so it's like you're watching a video. It's kind of weird. It's like
so it's like
video.
It's like you've got a screen in front of you and you can move your head around, but you're not actually.
Yeah, you're not in the game. Oh no.
Yeah.
They have to be built for that.
Yeah.
That experience you got when you were in the job simulator, you just don't get that. So I don't know, but it's an interesting thought.
Yeah,
it's just crazy to be on the
bleeding
start
edge.
Be at the very start of a world-changing technology. Because that's what I know. I sound like a dick, but it is. I sound like some hipster fucking.
Well, I'm 100% with you. If I had the money, I would have one ordered right now. Like I just would. It would have. If the resources were available, I would have just bought it. I probably would have gone on your computer in VR to order one if I was able to. It's amazing. I'll tell you what, let's move on to the very last topic. So, you remember Quantum Break? You remember Quantum Break, don't you?
Yeah, it says...
Quantum Break by the Nebula.
I got a bit of it's in the Nebula. Let me just pull it out the Yeah, so studio acknowledges big problems in Quantum Break on PC, says fixes are on the way.
Yeah, so we have yet another issue with a game that's been released.
Isn't this from the guys who made Max Payne? The old
Remedy,
Max Payne? Remedy
Entertainment, yeah.
That was fucking quality, that game was. One and two.
Quantum Break had a fairly severe issue in that it's only available on Windows Live Store, whatever it's called, the Windows thing, the crappy Windows shop.
Wept.
So that's the only place you can get Quantum Break on the PC.
The crappy Windows shop.
Yeah. Not only can you only get it on there, there's a major rounding error introduced into the refresh rate predictions on shipping, which basically means that the frame rate stutters like fuck. And there's also there's also a
How
problem where
can this be when it runs on the fucking Xbox? It's an Xbox exclusive in it. That's just a shit PC. I don't understand.
pretty much they need to improve the game's overall performance as well, because long play sessions can slow the game considerably. And this slowdown is caused by fragmented video memory, which moves an important game asset into the system memory. Apparently it's very rare, but it still happens. And also there's a crashing at launch problem, which has been reproduced internally, and they're working on a solution for that as well. Oh dear. Oh dear me. So it's wholesale capitulation for Quantum Break. You can only get it on a shit store that no one uses and no one wants to use, and are being forced to use if they want to play it. And if they do buy it from the shit store that they don't want to go anywhere near, there's a good chance it won't work. Success!
What the fuck? Why does this keep happening?
I don't know.
And why is it happening on games that are designed for this current generation of consoles, which are just shit PCs? Both of them are. So you can just port them, surely, with the click of a button. I don't understand. It's not like we're not making games for fucking, I don't know, Octa whatever core stupidity fucking mental PS3 bollocks with stupid proprietary software or whatever. We're making games for Windows PCs that are shit. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Why does this keep happening? Why do I keep doing this with my hand?
Why? Why?
I've got a massive picture of Olive over there.
Oh.
In space.
Bloody Olive. Oh, what Olive's quality. Absolutely quality Olive is. Right, that is the end, ladies and gentlemen, of Hotfix. Before we go,
I don't know where the camera's gone. I'm just like waving around in space. There, I think. Hang on.
Left a bit. No, wait, yeah, there you go. Head on. No, you've moved your head again.
No, I know. There you go.
There we go.
There.
One last plug in case you missed it, and I might tweak the overlay for the next one so that I've basically plugging myself all the way through the show. Go over to youtube.com/KiriothTV, because that's where all my videos are, and I'm playing through Dawn of War 2 Retribution of the Orcs, and it's quality, and I'm also streaming Switch TV's going. That was unintelligible. Go there as well. I don't need to tell you about anything to do with Unit Loss, because you're right here now, so why would you need to be told? We'll see you next time.